Hey everyone, it's DJ. Today we'll be working on part 2 of the Pastoral Diary book Nook. If you missed part 1, go to my playlist, it will be in there. It's been a while since I worked on this one. I got a little sick with a cold and life happens, but now we're back at it and hopefully finish this one. It has been super cute so far. In part 1, we made all these little accessories and the books and little piano and this cute little table. It turned out really well. This is a pretty fun kit. The instructions are not super great, but we're working through it. They're in black and white, and some of the instructions are a little confusing sometimes. We are on page 21 of the instructions, and this is what we left off at. We have this little, I guess, desk situation here with some drawers and the flowers and a record player. And here's the drawer that we put in and the face of the drawer there and the record. And so now we get to use some of our little accessories we made at the very first, our folded book like that. And then one of these little scrolls that are super cute and a mini sized book, and I'm going to use this little Alice one. So we can do that, and then we'll move on to other shelves. My last glue ran out. I was using the 86,000, and so I switched to this one, the Gorilla Grip. And this one, make sure you get the clear, not the white. I did make that mistake one time, not a fun thing. But this one is basically the same, and I actually really prefer the nozzle in this one. It's smaller and it seems to be easier to control and doesn't like gunk up on the end. So that's what I'll be using mostly, and along with some little Elmer's glue sticks sometimes if we need it. So we get to glue the book to the top here. And for these, when it has these tabs sticking out, these will go into the back plate. So when you're gluing these accessories on, you do not want them to hang over this edge here. Made that mistake before. And that looks huge. I guess it's supposed to look huge. That's a little weird. Oh well, I mean, it's kind of giant for that. All right, but those are the only folded books we have. We just have 2 of them. It's not like there's a smaller one, but that's okay. And then the scroll goes in, well, it does come out a little bit, the glue. The scroll goes in here. We'll just push it down, clean it up a little bit. Get out your tweezers of some variety and kind of clean up as you go if necessary. You can tell I've gunked these up a bit. They clean up, it'll be all right. Okay, that one, I believe. Oh, and then we have one more thing. We are going to slide this book inside. Actually, I'm going to use this plainer book because this one has a cute cover, and this one is going to slide inside here. So for these, I just want to put glue like on this edge and slide it into here. Make sure not to go past the back and clean up the goop. Just have a paper towel or some tissues nearby for cleaning off your fingers and your tweezers. All right, we'll set this aside to dry. That looks cute. I can't wait to like put it all together. All these little pieces are kind of tedious until you start actually installing them into the back plates, and then it gets really way more fun and exciting. So now we need D47 and D30, D35, G23, and E2. There we go. That looks cute. Bunch of flower baskets. These are fitting pretty snugly, so I don't feel like I need to reinforce them with glue. These pieces are just extras, part of like structural on the boards themselves. If they don't have a number on them, you can throw them away. Now we need J16 and J17. Oh, we're making a little like box of paints. That is super cute. And I don't know what this one's supposed to be. Maybe just like a box or a lid or something. It's just brown with roses. Maybe made to look like leather or something. Oh, that is the lid to the box. I get it. See, this is why the instructions are not great, because they don't tell you that, you know, this is what this is and this is. This would be a lot easier if it were in color. It had pictures of like what you were doing. Like that goes there, that goes there. So we need C42 and 43. We also need C21 and G16. I'm pretty sure this is like the lid to the box. So the stars mean that that is the face, like the colored side. So this little piece, I'm assuming, goes on this one. This is already a mess. Like these don't click in. And I don't know why we have to have this piece on top of here, because it's like covering part of the paints. And then it's saying to put the palette in here, kind of covering up the paint, which is weird to me. You don't exactly just stick a palette on top of your paints. I went to art school in college. I kind of know what I'm talking about. And this one is just like stuck to the side. All right. Sure. Well, I mean, I guess it could be worse. Ah! As I drop it. Let's just let the glue dry, and, you know, it's such a small item, it'll probably be hidden mostly in the whole scheme of things anyway, but it's not bad, it's just not great. We need F46 and G11. Cute little bunny. Adorable. Oh, we have a little vase to glue on. I put my little extras in here. Let's do the purple one for fun. This greenery, I came out of my own stuff. I was just going to use it if I need to later. I got a bunch of this online or something. And so, or you can, I've seen a bunch of this kind of stuff that's small enough for like book nooks or doll houses at Hobby Lobby. So if you need extras or just want to decorate it more, that's a good place to find it, or on Amazon. Put a teeny tiny bit of glue. Don't do too much here, because we don't want it gushing out too much on the bottom. Try to get it upright. That's cute. Set that aside to dry. Now we're building a little base for that. F24 and 2 of the F25s. Love that sound when they click together. And that connects there. Make sure we didn't dislodge anything while we were connecting it. Cute. Okay, that one's done. That's really fun. Now we build a rocking chair. I do enjoy the chairs because the laser cut pieces here are like so intricate, and well, you have to be careful with them because they are intricate, but the shapes of them are always really nice, and they just look so great in the actual book nook when you're all done. So here's the sides, the base, the back, and then we have a bear D41. So these ones, when you're doing a chair, you have to do all of the middle pieces on one side first and then put the other side on. It would seem obvious, but you're talking to someone who did it wrong once or twice. No shame in that. Let's glue on the bear. It's a little tight. There we go, so cute. So these little like wood fluffs here, that's why they give you a little nail file in all the kits. I don't think I've seen a kit without a nail file, and that's just sandpaper to get rid of that fluff wherever you see it, wherever it bothers you. I usually like don't use these, and I can kind of scrape things off with my fingernail, but sometimes it is nice to just get something really smooth like that. All right, that one is done. Now we get to use E10 and R1 and R2. Okay, I am really struggling with these two pieces. So if you can't figure something out, go to the next instructions and it'll usually solve itself by the time you can like picture everything together. So I'm going to grab these other pieces which are really obvious of like paste these here. So let's get R6 and we're just gonna do this one by one. These instructions are just not detailed enough. They're just too difficult, which is really sad because it looked so promising to start with, but we'll figure it out. I had one book nook, or sort of book nook. It was more of a dollhouse, like mini dollhouse, like cafe type thing, where I almost gave up on it. It was one of the first ones I did, and it was extremely difficult. It was one from Hobby Lobby. I do not recommend the book nooks or dollhouse kits from Hobby Lobby because they're always really difficult with really vague instructions and really small printing on the instructions. Mostly, I don't know. I haven't, done all of them. I've done 2 of them. But they look similar, and they require so much more work and trying to figure things out by yourself instead of the instructions being clear. So just keep that in mind. I mean, yeah, they're great prices, but there's kind of a reason why they're cheaper, and you're gonna struggle unless you're just really good at these kind of things, have done a ton of them, are used to that kind of thing. I really don't like the ones that include fabric that you have to cut and quote-unquote sew together with glue, because that is just really, really hard to get them looking really good. Okay, those pieces are on. That was clear. And then even this one, we need D60 and E1. This is umbrella. Careful popping that one out. And we're going to glue those. This fits right there. That is much more clear now that we have more pieces involved. So if you get stuck on instruction, just move to the next one. It'll be just fine. Well, now we should be able to figure out how this one goes on here. My problem was that it's confusing because of the printing. Either it was like printed upside down or something, because this lace right here is supposed to match up there, and this one is upside down from that, yet this peg is supposed to go toward the back like the other one. So I'm thinking that there is just a printing issue here. And before we go any farther, we have this piece R3 to put in, and maybe that will solve our problems. I think there was just a printing issue with this other piece. I just don't get it. This is supposed to connect these two together, and that's the only way it's going to fit in, is if this piece is here, even though it doesn't look like it should be. So we'll just go with it. If you get into tight spots where you can't really push down, you can use the back of your tweezers or something similar to carefully push those pegs down into the slots. And I just messed up my hat. So reglue, because it wasn't totally dry. There we go. Okay, that has to be it, because this is just not right. But maybe that side will be hidden. Okay, we did all this. Now let's make the drawer that's going to go into here. We need E9 in the middle, E4 on this side, E8, and 2 of the E15s on either side. There we go. Cute. And this slides in here. This is a very, very snug fit on purpose. And try to get it straight. That looks pretty good, and I'm not worried about it coming out. Now our last panel here, the R7. This one has some very small little like hinge type things going on here, because the instructions say to have it kind of like open. So I'm thinking that it kind of snaps sort of into here. Instructions, be better. This is ridiculous. Like, how far are we supposed to hang out here? Oh well. We're just gonna glue it. Just put it on like the very edge here. This one is not fun, this piece here. This one is just a nightmare. If you get these kind of pieces where you're just struggling, it's most likely not you, it's the kit. So don't be upset at yourself if you can't figure it out. I have done like over a dozen of these and I'm struggling. Maybe it just should just stay open a little bit. I don't know. We're gonna go with that. If we hate it when we put it in, I'll just rip it off. This glue comes off pretty easily, especially when it's not that much. So I'm just gonna set this to the side, and we're not gonna think about that one anymore. Let's get D3. D29, G19, and G18. I do like when they put the pieces like on an angle, because you can see them better when they're in the actual side walls. I'll set that aside. Now we're on D12 and D37. Like that. D57. And we're going to need D56 as well. G9 goes on the first one here. Little camera, cute. And G3, a little teapot, goes here. That's super cute. Wow, we're just making a whole bunch of shelves right now. All right, D11 and D1, we got a nice fire. Hope everyone's keeping warm this winter. It's about to get really cold in my area. Oh, I put it backwards. There we go. That looks better because now we're going to glue on these other shelves that we just made. So the teapot goes here. Line it up really nicely. And D10. Now this one looks a little funny from the top, but it is how it is supposed to be. So we're going to trust that. And other things will click into here and it'll cover up that like bare space. So that'll be all right. And now we have some stickers that are going to go on the front of this, which will actually help it stay even, which is nice. So J12. Here's the long one. Let's start it from here because it'll wrap around. And then it'll go over the side a little bit like that. And then we have one for this side. That's an interesting method. I haven't seen this kind of thing in another book nook. This is similar to what we did with the piano, with this piece here. It just covers up the wood seams and makes it look a little cleaner and helps it stay together, which is really nice. I do appreciate that one. So we need D16 there. We're going to need D17 here, D24 here, and D25 here, and then we're also going to need D45 and 44. And we, of course, have more gluing. This kit is very heavy on the glue. Other kits like the Cute Bee ones, they will not have you needing nearly this much glue. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing a kit, is if you want it to be more difficult. I like the more difficult ones because it's like a challenging puzzle. You know, I like those jigsaw puzzles that are like quite difficult instead of just the easy like 500 piece ones. Give me the 2,000 piece ones with like, you know, a lot of pattern and everything. I didn't know this book nook was going to be this challenging, but it's actually good that I chose this one for this type of long format tutorial because then you get to see all of the ups and downs and struggles and tips and tricks here that wouldn't necessarily be needed in other easier kits. So this one is one of the more difficult ones, not the worst, but you kind of can get an idea of what you want in a book nook from the difficulty standpoint. But the payoff with greater difficulty is that you also get greater detail. And it's going to be so much more satisfying when you put it all together, because you kind of fought for this thing and you struggled with it, and it's going to be a really awesome result, hopefully. And you're going to be proud of it by the end of it. So, yay for assembly. Let's get D7, D8, D55. I have these mixed up. This one is D8 and the one I just pulled was D55. Let's grab this shelf, and this one slides in here. Like that. Next is this one. You just kind of have to wiggle these until you get them all straight. Now we need D6, and that goes right here. Nice. D15 and 14. So 15 goes here with the curve pointing downward. And the same over here with the smaller one. Now we have this piece snaps into here. This one goes over here. This pretty one goes into the middle. It's starting to look like something. Oh, yes, and I was right. This is the frame to the fireplace kind of thing. So this one sits over the top. Let's turn it around so we can see where our little joints are going. These kind of assembly parts are going to be a little finicky. You're going to have to really figure out which pieces are supposed to go like forward instead of under, and just move it all around and just carefully push until everything is lined up. We have Q2, this side up. Ooh, and look at the pretty pattern underneath that. That's really nice. Now we get to cut a little piece of the lace that came with this kit, P14. We need 15 centimeters. So I just have this from another kit. And I would suggest cutting the end of it at like a good place where it's more squared off here, and then cutting your 15 centimeters. Nice. And it tells us to glue it around here. In what world is this 15 centimeters? Do they not know how to count? This is 10 centimeters. Why did they just have us cut 15? I didn't even question it. Silly me. Maybe it's supposed to wrap around. I guess that would look better, but that's like a lot to wrap around. Look at this. This is not Ugh. Let's glue it on and then trim it. This kit keeps failing. I mean, I'm still enjoying it, but I don't know who made these instructions. Wrap it around. Pull tight, but not like super tight to the point that it warps. And then I'm just going to cut this off. There we go. That is actually a really nice detail. And I love the like multimedia-ness of this with, you know, the fabric or thread lace and then the wood and, you know, all the other details meant to look like marble or metal or ceramic. That's really nice. We have another shelf next. We need C28, D27, D58, R5, and G6. Now you can tell which side is the front because that hole is a lot closer to the back. So that's how I know it goes this way. And this just gets glued right here, a little hand mirror. Super cute. We need C13 and C24. This goes in here. We need C20 and C15. And this piece snaps into here. C23 will be our other side to connect everything. And it does say this side left. There we go. That's cute. And now we're working on the front of this desk situation here. We need C16. C14 are the two drawer faces. And C25. When you're gluing on the drawer faces, make sure all your handles on the images are pointed in the same direction. They should be pointed downwards. Just little details that'll make it look better and a little more professional. That turned out really cute. I love the different colors of the drawers. Now we have another drawer, C22 in the middle, C18. The 19s are on the sides and the 17 on this side. I like to punch them out and put them directly on the diagram just to make sure you're putting them together correctly and not messing it up or getting confused of which pieces you're dealing with. Cute. Let's put our little drawer into our desk. And we can just slide it in a little bit more. And now we can put a J6, which is right here. It's a sticker. We can put it inside of the drawer. That is not a great design, but we're just gonna roll with it. It's just a sticker and it's kind of levitating out of the drawer. Don't love that. Now this whole thing is the front of our desk and we can snap it into place here. Yeah, I don't like this thing. I don't like it one bit. Maybe if we angle it, that's a little bit better. Or we can just eliminate it completely. But maybe that's okay. Do whatever you want. This is your book nook. You can do whatever you desire. You don't like it? Leave it out. But here is the finished little desk. That is super cute. Love the colors, the details. Let's set it aside, and we have staircase. I feel like we're finally getting somewhere now. Here we have this staircase piece. And these go in vertically. Very nice. Now we can do the horizontal pieces, which are these C40s. And the one with the extra little connector goes on the very bottom. There we go. Now we get to use one of the bigger pieces here, G1. Look how pretty this one is. And E14. This one gets glued to the front right here. E11 here is what is going to connect these two pieces. So let's figure out, this goes up. And like this. There we go. We have more shelves. This is the Book Nook of shelves. I don't think I've ever seen this many, but I'm here for it if it looks awesome at the end. We need F6 right there. G14. Ooh, these are delicate. I'm gonna have to be real careful with those. 15 and D42, this really cute little cactus situation. Let's put the big one on first. And when you're putting in candlesticks, do not hold on to the top of it. Hold on to the base of it when you're pushing it in. Don't even touch the top part of it. That's how you break them. I know, because I've done it. Super cute. We need F9. And this piece, oddly enough, just gets glued to the underside of this one as just, I guess, dimension. Just center it and don't go past the edge here. We need the sticker J14. And this one is going to be a sort of little banner or scarf kind of thing that folds over the edge. And kind of hides this other piece, so what was the point? I don't know. We're just gonna go for it. If you don't like this banner thing, don't put it on. It's kind of cute. Kind of not. Whatever. Now we need F19. Both of these. Something like that. And this other piece goes on this end. We need F11 and F20. And these pieces get glued on the inside here. Just like that. Now we need another scroll, and we need our little vase. Put a little dollop of glue on the very bottom. And it's funny, this says any angle is okay. So if your vase is crooked, that is totally fine. Oh, we have 3 scrolls here. Now I see that. We're gonna stack them. So that is cute. Oh, this one has the vase like laying down. I like it upright. We need F15, F10, and F16. and the other F15 for the other side. There we go. F26. That little tiny top edge is supposed to meet that little tiny top edge. Now we need these very delicate little F18 pieces. And these directions are completely lying because they're telling us that these pieces are supposed to have these little wing things to grab on. Does that look like that? No, not on the top either. That's just not right. But amazingly enough, these ones are fitting in a little bit better if you kind of maneuver them like towards the middle and then scoot them over, because they're supposed to like remain a little bit open, like window shutters. I mean, it's cute. I don't know how they expect them to hold on, so I am going to run some glue all along this back edge because I do not trust that. Always strengthen your seams if you are in doubt and you can't see the glue from the front side. It doesn't matter how ugly the glue is from the back side. So we can go ahead and do these pieces because these are obvious. Okay, now let's build this little drawer that will go in here. Cute, make sure your handle matches the other handles, and that slides in. You can adjust this. I am not in love with how it doesn't like stop anywhere, so you might want to glue this just so it doesn't keep coming out or getting wonky or anything. Just put a little dab of glue, like even just on one side, and then when it dries, you won't have to worry about it. We need E7 and G10, our pretty pink curtain. More glue. Next is this window, F48, and our other curtain, D22. Cute. We have Q8 and D5. Oh, this has to be one of my favorite little plant ones I've ever seen. That is absolutely adorable. The colors are so great. They're bright. Oh, love that one. And we get to put it on Q7, this other window. Snap it into the bottom here as our little window sill. Oh, that is awesome. I love that one. We need Q10. Another one of these fake hinge deals, which I am not happy about. Just kind of shove it in there and position it to the best of your ability, because it is not what it's supposed to be. Or if it is, they did not design this very well at all. See, look at that. It just falls out. And I'm gonna have to stand this up to let it dry. We have another little box here. C31, 32, 33, and 34s. If you're anything like me, you're getting really sick of these shelves and boxes, but we're almost done with them. All right, we have a cute little like chest type thing, and 3 of any book is okay. I'm just gonna pick some of the small ones here. We'll stack them in a jaunty manner. Cute. I can hardly believe it. We actually get our first large base plate. We get S2. Finally, And we're gonna jump straight into the wiring. So pop the batteries out if you had them already in, and we're gonna go on this side. There's a diagram and everything, using our little provided screwdriver and screws and nuts. Like that. Carefully lift up, and then it's easier to put on the nuts on the bottom and tighten them. And really, finger tightening these is probably good enough. You can use the screwdriver, but you have to hold on to the nut if you do so, and you do not want to over tighten this because it will crack your board. So now we're going to flip it over, and we get to finally start installing. Yay! First up is our piano, which goes at this angle right here. Careful on pressing down. So cute. Let's grab our staircase, and these are all the same length, so we don't have to worry about which one we put up through the staircase, but a lot of other book nooks will have lights of differing lengths, so just be mindful of which one you are supposed to be using according to the instructions. So just thread it up through here. It'll come out the top here, and then it'll slide in there. So we're facing this direction now according to the instructions, and the staircase gets slotted in here. See, the staircase is hiding our screws right here. And don't forget to put your wire through the provided notch so that it doesn't get pinched in between your boards. And try to be careful to not push down on the actual staircase treads, or else they could become out of whack. So just gently push round, round, round until all of your pegs are in the slots. Now we need D31, and we're going to put some of this lace on it. Just don't even bother measuring with a ruler, just hold it up and cut it. It'll fit better. Now we need Q3, this side up, and this part is going to connect. I think it's supposed to be like a wind chime. And then this whole piece goes up here. And I just realized what I did wrong here. This piece is actually supposed to go in the middle. These instructions are just really unclear. It's all right. We will figure it out. Now we're getting into these little pieces. These are always the pieces that are going to hold your lights in place. So we need one of the S9s right now. And I love these pieces because they just make life so much easier here. And you can bend the end of the light down like that to make it stay better. And then that snaps up into here. And then after you get these connected, you can gently pull on the lights to tighten them. And this piece snaps right there. So see this slack here? Very gently grab the end And you can bend this up a little bit, adjust your light, and now it is nice and neat and hidden. Just do not pull this too much or else you're going to undo all your work here. And that is really the reason behind this lace, is to hide more of the light. So I understand why we had to do that step here. And since it's obvious right here we need J10, let's go ahead and put down the rug. I love the sticker rugs. I think they are so cute. And just add so much detail. I love it. It is so cute. Now we get to use Q4, another big plate. Now this piece, we're going to put these railings on, and railings are notoriously delicate, easy to break. I've broken so many of them. So just be careful while you're doing this. At least these aren't the ones that are bendy. Sometimes you'll have ones that are actually like cut so they do physically bend, and those are the worst for installing. So hopefully this will not be too bad. So let's start with F45. Just be so careful where your fingers are and how hard you're pushing down. That looks really nice. This one was quite easy, really, to do this railing and no breaks, so we are happy about that. Now we get to decorate with E6 and E5, our little white cat here. Super cute. I used to have 2 white cats. This one's tail is a little messed up. Poor thing. Now we're going to need S4. And you know it's a piece that is going to have lights because it has this notch situation for the wires. So as far as I can tell with these horrendous instructions, I don't understand. They could have made this a lot easier here. I think we put this in here, loop it through here, and then this is P5, which also goes inside this notch and just kind of hangs out back here for now. And then with this piece up, we are going to place this here, snap that into place, and that locks these in. And then we need our chandelier, D39, and it's going to go in front of the light, which makes sense. So you can bend this down and snap that in here, and then when the light is on, it'll look like it is glowing, which is really cool, and it hides the actual bulb itself. And this is where it gets a little tricky with all your wires hanging out everywhere, but just go slowly and line it up with the picture. So this piece is positioned this way, and this piece is going to go on top of it, right there. Okay, that was not too bad. This piece, we're gonna have to unhook this little bit right here to put it up through the floor and then reattach it. Yay, we finally get the big one. This is B2. Oh, this is exciting now. This is when it gets really fun and quite quick to finish, really, because we've done all the preliminary work. All right, we can put on the little fireplace piece. This is going to be so fun. That just slots right here. What a lovely sound. Check the back to make sure you're totally secure. So cute. I just realized I missed a piece. I wondered where that went. This one goes right there. Cute. We need F47 and D43. These snap together. Really cute. This one goes right here, like that. Now we can decorate with all of our books and other accessories, like however we like, all along the bookshelf. And this is just up to you. It has some suggestions of how you might want to put them, but all up to you. I just went ahead and decorated the bookshelf with all the books and a few other little fun details. I vaguely followed the instructions, but just put them wherever I wanted. And that looks super cute. I might add a few other things to these like empty spaces later, but for now, this is just fine. And we'll let that glue dry. So now it has us using this piece right here. And we're going to get an S9 little connector and pull this one up gently. And it has us put it along the side of this. Like so. And it's probably going to need to go up higher. And this is indeed the part where it's starting to get a little trickier because we have to juggle all these different pieces. So I'm going to gently turn this one around, and this connects into the side plate. And this one, see, this is just be patient with yourself here and the kit, and just move carefully with this. You almost need 3 hands in some of these cases. Now, this whole floor is going to attach like that. There's slots, and I'm pressing gently right here to try to get this connected so things don't fall out anymore. Reconnect this piece. That's why I put the glue down, not like it did very much for us here. And I'm trying to get the wires into that slot on the floor right there so that we can totally connect these 2 spaces like that. And we just had a book fly off because my glue wasn't dry, so I'm gonna stick that one back in with my tweezers. Okay, let's try to get everything secure. Those are in, those are in. That one is mostly in. This one is one of the more complicated ones to assemble. But we are finally getting somewhere here. So this sensor needs to be able to be up here. Don't pinch it in between any of the boards. This one finally feels stable, and all of our wires under here are looking pretty good because we still have one light left to install, which is what it's saying on our instructions. This one right here, and everything else is in the right spots. So now we can have a little bit more fun. Let's grab J11, which is this funny like faux fur printed rug, and that's going on the floor right here. The stickers are nice to hide these little connection points. Cute. Now we get to find this little bunny thing we made earlier, and it is telling us to put it right here. Fun. We can grab F17. Really pretty curtains. I love those like leaf details. And this one gets pasted right here where it tells us to. I like these big pieces because you can just glob on the glue and not really have to worry about it spilling out. Let's set this aside to dry for a minute, and we are going to get piece E3. Oh, and look at that. We emptied our first board. I love it when these get empty. So now we get to glue on a whole bunch of the pieces we've already made. We need D50. We get to paste this one right here. D49 goes right here, and G17 goes right here. That one is so pretty. And this little piece we get to put right here after we paste D54. And if you want these shelves to really never come off, again, just in case, just put a teeny bit of glue behind them before you snap them in. And we also have this one. I'm gonna just put a teeny bit. I live in a very humid climate, so I don't want any of these pieces to just spontaneously pop off while this book nook is sitting on my shelf. That is super cute. And this is the back piece, and it says that we are now ready to install it with the others. So let's set this one up, and this one, get all your wires tucked out of the way. This one goes right here. Super cute. We're gonna tighten up all these wires hanging out eventually, so don't worry about that. Now this is a little different from other book nooks. A lot of these other pieces we made, it just says to glue them on wherever you want. So that's kind of fun. I do like that aspect of getting it to customize it the way you really want. So let's grab all of the pieces it's talking about. We need our chair, our easel, our other chair, and our basket. This is the one that we didn't put that weird paper piece on the front of because it was not working. And since I have a few of these little flowers from my own stuff, I might just stick them in this box just for fun. And I'll throw a little piece of greenery in there as well, just so it doesn't look like a totally empty box. And there's like a little pop of color, makes it cute. Now the easel goes downstairs, kind of about right there, just so that we can still see the piano. And this chair will go right about there. Now it's telling us to put our little chest with books on it right here. Now hold underneath the base when you're popping this in, like that. And we need G4, which goes right here. We get to use A3, and we get to use R8. Paste that here, and inside of this we get to put our little mirror, and the mirror does have a film on it that'll peel off, but I am going to glue it down first and then like start the peel, but don't peel it off until you're done like touching it, tapping it in here. Now we can peel it off. And it's beautiful. Next, we can install this one here. This piece is going underneath it. We need D34, and that is going right here. We have one more little shelf to build, F12, which calls for G22 and D40. As well as one of our little vases here. And then this whole thing is going to go right here. And I'm going to secure it with glue. And once we get it in there, the vase will stop falling. Now, amazingly, it's saying that we are ready to put this piece on. So again, carefully line everything up. Make sure you're not pinching any wires. Kind of set it down on the side. And really make sure you're all snapped in. Oh, my vase took a dive. Let's put it back. Should have guessed that would happen. We are really starting to look like something now. And with all that turning about, make sure any of your pieces that were just glued down didn't get dislodged anywhere. So we're going to look at it from this angle, and we're going to glue down this piece right here. You can put the most glue in places where other parts of it will hide, like extra glue coming out. Now we can install this covered thing, and it pops down right into here. We need D48, That goes over here in the corner. Nice. We get to move down and put our adorable little table right here in the front. Hold on underneath it. Be very careful when pushing down. This little toy box we made gets glued in the front, about right here. And we're gonna put our little art palette set, glue it down on top of these two holes because those will be used for the wires underneath, I'm guessing, but we want to cover them up. And up top here, we get to put our cute little desk. It only has one point that snaps in, so I'm going to just add just a little bit of glue just to those back legs. And it fits snugly underneath the windowsill. Now at this point, it would be a really good idea to stop and just let all the glue dry, because when we start dealing with the rest of the wiring, we're going to have to turn it around and around and things might just fall off. So I would suggest taking a break and just making sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And like we missed this one here, D54. That was the last one on this board. That is a backup in case it breaks, which is nice. So that one's in there. I want to let that dry. And just like take a look over everything. Like you can add other little stuff in there, like the flowers like I did, vases. We do still have one little bead vase, which I don't believe they told us where to put it, but I feel like it would be really cute right here to cover up this little connection point, so I'm going to do that. And it matches the other one. I like that. And this is all we have left of everything we've made. We have our flower bouquet, 2 books. I don't remember them telling us where we were supposed to put these. These might be like a bookcase item, and then we have all these extra letters. So at this point, just decorate to your heart's content in here and let everything dry, and then we can work on the wiring. I just flipped forward a couple of pages, and it does tell us where we're supposed to put the flower basket in one of these funny little picture things, and just this place wherever you like. So let's do that. Our flower basket is going to go over here. Kind of in the corner by the cat. And honestly, I'm not too happy or enthused by these. They're kind of boring, like these two especially, so I'm just going to use one. And it says to just kind of like lean it like that. I guess that would look okay. Yeah, that's all right. I want to put one of these pretty books on like the floor. Why not? Like right by the chair. I think that's pretty fun. And these little envelopes are super cute. So maybe even just like putting a couple on the floor as well, like stacked. I like the look of the wax seal on the top. It's our house, so we can make it look as messy or clean as we want. We have one more book. I think it needs to go upstairs. There's this connection point right there, which isn't so cute. So let's put it over here. Very nice. I'm not going to use these, and I'm not going to use these other two envelope things, but I am going to use these two extra letters and just put them upstairs like we did with the ones downstairs. Put them on the floor by the chair. Cute. All right, while I was waiting for everything to dry in the book nook, I took the opportunity to just clean up the workspace, get rid of all the extra stuff. And so now we can start working on some of these little top pieces that are going to hold all the wires and the sensors and everything. So we need Q5 and S10 and S11s. The S10s will go here. And we're going to grab our little sensor, very gently tug it upward a little bit. We're going to have to unhook it one more time, stick it through the hole. We can hook it back up, and we're going to need more slack. So just very gently feed it up. Through. I'm just feeling along the bottom until it's tight, but not too tight that it's pulling out. So this goes like this, and these two pieces keep it connected down to the plate. Like that. And then we take S3, and it's gonna go right on the front here. To just beautify everything. Now we're taking piece R9 and before we lock this one down, we want to put in the acrylic dust cover for this piece, which actually just lines up right here and gets pinched in between, which is a lot easier. So remove the film on one side. Place it down carefully. So tuck your wire down. We're going to tighten that up in a minute. Make sure your dust cover also clicks in. Awesome. So you can see the yellow wire. It's kind of bunchy. So we're going to very gently pull it. and you're gonna have to kind of get creative sometimes. And then pull it until you can't see it. I keep hitting the sensor here. That's why it keeps going on and off. But there, see now you can't see any of the wires in that back corner on top or bottom. Now we get to install the final light. This one gets kind of run up the very front here, and we're going to need 2 of the S8s and 1 of the S12. This one connects way up here in the corner. And bend down the light. Kind of like that. And then these teeny tiny little pieces go into these little slots on the side just to keep the wires from poking out. And that's what this little dip here is for, is so that the wire can go down in it. Now we get to work on the bottom and making everything nice and neat down here because it's a bit of a mess. So we're going to use the S7s. This one goes here. To tack that one down. Both of these get tacked down by this one over here. Both of these get tacked down over here. These can be quite challenging to get in, so just carefully keep pushing until they're snapped in. I just lost something. Oh! Do yourself a favor and get a really long pair of tweezers. Even the ones with the bent ends would be even better. The glue gave out right here because it wasn't dry, because I was impatient. Okay, now that we have these little supports in to hold the wires, it is telling us to use these pieces, the S13s, and we are going to place them onto this. We're going to slide them onto this little sensor. This is the sensor that turns the lights on. And then this one that is more open gets slid in between this carefully. Now we're going to work on this little door situation that I think goes underneath the book nook so that we have a door to access the battery compartment with the switch. So here is Q1, and I already put Q9 on it. It's just like a little handle. And now we need C27. And we're going to flip this over, and it looks like these slide onto the sides like this. And then we're going to use S1, position these in here. And now we need C26. And these go right here. to make sure that this door doesn't come out. That's actually a very clever design. I have not seen another book nook with that. That is really cool. Now the instructions are telling us to look at the bottom of the book nook in this format with the batteries down here, and to make sure that we're putting this sensor on correctly. So it needs to have these big pieces over on this side and the sensor on this side. And then we're going to snap it into this piece. Now these little pieces are going to slide to be able to match up here. Like that. So from the front, it's going to look like this, and this is the button to turn on the lights. So that is secure where it needs to be, and we just made our little battery compartment hatch, which opens exactly where we want it to. And now we can snap this into place. And the switch has to be down so that the door will close. And this is what we're looking like at the front. See, now the button is about perfectly in the center here. Well, I just looked through all the instructions twice, and I cannot find anywhere where we're using these two pieces, G7 and G8. I've had this happen to me on one or two other book nooks where there were pieces I could not find in the instructions. I don't even know where these would go. It says this side down, this side down. I am at a complete loss on this because it's not like they're small, and it doesn't look inside like there would be anywhere for them to go. And I checked the instructions thoroughly, so I have no idea about that. But those were the only two pieces that we didn't use that weren't extras. So we're just gonna forget about those, I guess. And it is time to use the front dust cover. This is the last step, and we get to put on the front. This is so exciting. So start one side at a time, peel off. Try not to touch it as you put it down. It'll snap in here. And now you can peel off the other side. And try not to touch it after that too, because fingerprints on this acrylic and dust are actually quite difficult to get off. Well, if you have to touch it, just grab the sides. And final piece, look how beautiful that is. This side facing rear. Final snaps. And we did it! I went ahead and removed the acrylic dust cover just for the sake of this final review because of the glare. So here is the completed Pastoral Diary book nook. This one was very fun, very challenging at the same time, but the level of detail really made it worth it in the end. I love the little table with the lace, all of the little books and scrolls, and just all of the details. The light placement is also really good in this one. There aren't any really dark corners, and I love the two levels. This isn't always the case in book nooks where you have an upstairs and downstairs, but it really does add that dimension and more opportunity for detail as well. The printing on this, on all the pieces, was really good. Certain pieces were definitely challenging and should have been designed better, and the instructions definitely should have been better. But overall, we figured it out, and it did turn out really cute. Overall, I would give this particular book nook a difficulty level of probably about an 8 out of 10. This is not one I would recommend to beginners at all. And the finished product, I would probably give it an 8 as well, 8 out of 10 for how much I like it. It is different than a lot of mine that I have that are more dark, brown, like more library type, and this is more of like an artsy studio music kind of vibe. And the instructions, I will give about a 2, but the quality of materials, I'd give 7 or 8. And the time it took was approximately about 7 hours to complete altogether. I did do this in a few sittings, but the overall time, probably about 7 or 8 hours. And more experienced people could probably do this faster because I was going slow because I was filming. But otherwise, I'm very happy with the result. I hope this video helps someone who needs a little guidance on book nooks or just some tips and tricks to get started and learn from my mistakes and just have fun with it. These are your book nooks. These are your projects, so you can do whatever you want with them. If you want to omit pieces, do that. If you want to add different things, add them. And if it doesn't look perfect, that is completely fine because it's yours. Art is something that doesn't have a right or wrong answer. It's whatever you want it to be, and you yourself put the value on it of how much you like it, how much you don't, and that is completely fine. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and please subscribe for more.